Hello, everyone. Happy May. I'm going to do a reading wrap up video for the books I finished in April. The first book I read was The Red and the Blue. I bought this book, I want to say 2021 or 22, at a thrift store. And at the time, I was really into political analysis. And this book is mostly about the 1990s and Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton. And this was just the completely wrong time to read this book. I had such a hard time getting through this because it was just so boring. Such crazy things are happening now politically compared to the 1990s that it was really hard to focus on what they were doing in the 1990s. Maybe if things calm down in the next 5 years, I'll reread this book, but I'll probably put it back on my shelf and end up unhauling it at some point. This is just not a very interesting political time. There were some interesting aspects at the end of the book about how politics were changing and the Republican Party was changing and kind of the rise of Donald Trump, but that was at the very end, of course, at the very end of the 1990s. So that was kind of interesting. But the majority of the book was, Clinton impeachment, which compared to Trump's impeachment, ridiculous. The next book I finished was Exit West, and I really enjoyed this book. This book is about a war that broke out in a Middle Eastern country and two people who are in love fleeing the country, being displaced, and it's using a lot of magical realism to help these people along on their journey, and it explores a lot of interesting themes of love and relationships and how those are affected by war and trauma and displacement. So I really enjoyed this book. This was a very quick read, and I thought it was very well done. And I believe it sounds like Palestine is the country they're fleeing. That's what it felt like to me. But I could be wrong, even though it's not named. I also finished The Power of Different. I really, really enjoyed this book. This book was great. This book talks about various disorders such as ADHD, dyslexia, anxiety disorder, depression, schizophrenia, and autism, and how those disorders not often, but sometimes lead to genius, and how they can make people stand out and have special abilities that other people do not have. And I really enjoy that, and uses examples from history, and it was really fascinating. It was a very positive, well-written, well-done book. I really do recommend that if you're interested in that subject. I finished Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood. I didn't love this book. I liked it. It was good. I just didn't connect with it as much as I thought I would, and I don't really feel like I want to read the sequel. It kind of felt like a cross between The Road and The Time Machine by H.G. Wells. It was kind of the same feel of those two books, where the main character is left alone and the world's kind of taken over by this other race of people, beings. And the one aspect I really enjoyed about this book was everything leading up to the mass extinction of humanity, and the decisions that were made. I thought that was very, very interesting. If I do want to reread this book, that is probably the part I want to focus on the most, was what the scientists were doing that caused the world to end. So yeah, but there were a lot of other things in this book that I failed to connect to the characters, and but it was good. It wasn't bad compared to some of the other books I read this month. This was one of the better ones. I finished Humankind, which I loved. This book is great. It's an alternative history of the world, kind of talking about everything in a positive way, really arguing that humanity is good, people are good. It kind of explains a lot of very interesting scenarios in a different way. But I would highly recommend this book. This is a good book to read during this chaotic political time where people are really polarized and questioning whether humans are good or bad. But this book really made me feel happy for about a week after I read it, and I recommend it to my husband's book group, book club, and they're reading it now. I hope they enjoy it. So that was a good read. I got this book, which I guess I read this book 2 years ago and I completely forgot about it. But when I started rereading it, I started to remember these essays, and I definitely enjoyed them a lot more because I think my review last time wasn't as great as my review this time. So I liked this book a lot. It was definitely a lot more serious, a little darker than his previous works. He's really talking about his father more, who had died, and his siblings. And I thought this was great. I love David Sedaris. He's very funny and dark kind of guy. I finished Kurt Vonnegut's Breakfast of Champions, and this book was very odd. I liked most of the beginning of it, and then I kind of lost track of the story. Most of this book is just commentary on humans and society, and so much commentary. And it's cute, but it kind of gets old. And I just don't, I didn't connect to it. I'm gonna have to reread this one. I do want to give this one another chance because I do respect this author, and I'm gonna hold on to this book and try it again maybe at some point. Maybe I'll like it a lot more. I know a lot of people love Breakfast of Champions. I finished Emily Henry's The People We Meet on Vacation, and this is my second Emily Henry book and my last. I read Beach Read years ago, and it was okay. It was just bland. I really don't even remember it. But this book actively offended me. Poppy offended me. I had such a hard time relating to her and any of the decisions she made. I don't really understand this relationship. And I was kind of hoping that she would die at the end. And that would probably save the book for me, but she didn't. She got everything she wanted, which was confusing for me. But yeah, so I guess this book just was not for me. I am not an Emily Henry reader. I'm sure people love this one. They understand her, they can connect to her, and that's great. So I'm going to put this in a free library and hope somebody finds it and is made happy by this book. But I was not. So no more Emily Henry for me. Another book I disliked was Tom Lake by Ann Patchett, and this was disappointing because this is my second attempt to read it. Last time I tried reading it, I really, really, really didn't like it. And then after all the positive reviews came out, I thought I'd give it another chance, and I definitely did like it more this time around. This book is centered around the play Our Town by Thornton Wilder, which I love. I love Our Town. I read the play recently, and the main character in this book keeps playing Emily in various productions of Our Town, and there were definitely a lot of very interesting aspects of how she as an actress, how her career developed and the relationships she made. But the book, I as a whole, I didn't like it. I'll probably hold on to it and read it again. Because I do think maybe this will grow on me. I don't know. But I didn't like her conversations with her daughters. I didn't buy those. They didn't feel genuine to me. I enjoyed her life outside, her youth a lot more, but I felt that her tone when she was telling the story was so bored. Like she was so bored with her life. Like she really didn't care that much about what she experienced. And she experienced some pretty amazing things. She was almost on Broadway. She was in a famous movie, but she just didn't care. She kept downplaying everything, that it was just whatever. Anyway, so this book just fell flat for me. I didn't hate it, but I can't say like, oh, I'm crazy about this book. I also read Fair Play, which I got as an advanced reader's edition, and this book came out last week on April 25th, and it's a mystery, kind of a strange mystery, where it starts out in modern day, a murder mystery party, and then someone dies, and then, they think it's suicide, and it kind of ends there, and they have to deal with grief, and they have to move on with their lives. But then it kind of teleports the reader into the world of Agatha Christie and Poirot. I mean, the detective is not named Poirot, but he definitely acts like Poirot and talks like Poirot. But then he's trying to solve the mystery and kind of go through like the rules of mystery books and how mysteries work. And it was kind of interesting, but I wanted more. I wanted the author to tie it all together in some meaningful way. And she just didn't do that, which was disappointing to me, because then as a whole, the book didn't feel meaningful. And it kind of just makes me want to read Agatha Christie now. So that was disappointing. So I'm probably going to let that one go. And then I read Kate Atkinson's Case Histories, and I really like the way the book started. I was really enjoying it. I like her writing, but then it kind of went off the rails for me. It presents three murders, and the detective is currently is trying to solve these three murders. And I didn't like it. I didn't like how it was written. I didn't like how sexual it was. It was very graphic and talking about sex all the time. So much sex. Um, and it was just I didn't enjoy it. I actively dislike this book. I have another book by this author, Life After Life, and I really hope it's not like this at all. Or else I'm gonna have to just let it go without reading it. The premise sounded very interesting for Life After Life, but this one, I I was I feel so disappointed because I was so into this, and then the more I got into it, the more I disliked this book, and the more I disliked the characters. There was a lot of banter, and I really don't do banter. Um, and yeah, I just maybe I'm a prude, but I just don't like books like this. So I would not recommend Case Histories. And then I love this book. This is Kazuo Ishiguro's An Artist of the Floating World, and this is a post World War II kind of an analysis of how the main character, who is elderly and a bit unreliable, is kind of reflecting back on what he did before Japan started the war and during the war, and how he contributed to the propaganda, and the regret he feels, whether it's, did he really do something bad, and he's kind of trying to analyze it, and it kind of reminded me of The Remains of the Day. It was very similar, which it's a slow burn. It's not an exciting book, but there's a lot of brilliant commentary on the way that the totalitarian government kind of affects the people living under it, and their how they associate their own actions in support of that government. So I really enjoyed this. I really recommend it if you want to read something slow and intellectual and brilliant. So yeah, this one kind of made me feel a lot better because I read some books I really disliked this month. After reading 5 fiction books that fell flat for me, this one really helped me regain my love of reading and made me realize everything's okay. There are good books that I will love. So that made me feel a lot better. And I just finished that one yesterday. Anyway, so that is my April reading month. And if you love Emily Henry, if you love Tom Lake, if you love Case Histories, I'm sorry for the bad criticisms of these books, but for me they just didn't work. But I'm a very picky person. So anyway, have a great month. Thank you. Bye.